Hi, fourth graders. Today we're going to be adding to or subtracting from a fraction that's less than 1 from a whole using decomposition. This is Module 5, Lesson 22. So let's warm up our brain and our math thinking. If I have 2 and I also have a half, just thinking, not even thinking with our mind, not thinking about what's on the paper. If I have 2 and then I also have a half and I want to add that together, that means I would just have 2 and 1/2, okay? Similarly, if I had 3 and I also had 2/3, think if I had 3 pizzas and I also had 2/3 of a pizza, how many would that be all together? It would be 3 and 2/3. So in essence, this is what we're doing today, adding and subtracting whole numbers, or adding and subtracting fractions from whole numbers using decomposition. All right, let's try subtraction 1. 3 minus 1/4. Okay, and something different you're going to notice about this equation is we have a whole and a fraction. So you might be thinking to yourself, well, Miss Hawkinson, how can I do this? I don't have 2 fractions, I have a whole and a fraction. So think about our 3. 3 represents 3 whole pieces. So here's 1, here's 2, and here's 3. Okay, so think of this not as fractions. This is a whole, this is a second whole, and this is my third whole. Okay, if I'm going to take away a 4th from one of my wholes, I can draw that. So here's my whole again. And my third one I'm going to leave open. I'm not going to color in. So it's saying I'm subtracting a 4th. So I'm going to make this one into 4ths. And it's taking away, I'm going to use red for this, one of them. Okay, so again, I still have my 3 wholes here. That's what I started with. I'm subtracting a 4th. Now looking at what is left. Well, I still have one whole here. I have my second whole here. And now I have this left, but it's divided into 4ths. So I have 1/4, 1/4, and 1/4. So what do I have left? I have 2 wholes and 1, 2, 3/4. So that would be my answer. So what we did was we took our 4th away from one of our wholes. Okay, so we could say living inside of, I'm going to erase this right here, this top one. Living inside of our 3 wholes is 2 wholes and 4/4, because we know 4/4 would just be another whole, and 1 plus 2 would equal 3. All right, let's try with another one. All right, let's try with another one. 5 minus 1/4 here. Okay, so again, I have a whole and I have a fraction. So I'm already going to say, put a number bond here, and I'm going to say inside my 5 lives 4 and 4/4, because here's the unit 4ths that I need. So inside of my 5, I have 4 whole and 4/4. Okay, so like the previous problem, we can go ahead and draw it using a tape diagram. This is the number bond strategy, and we'll probably get better at this where we don't have to draw a tape diagram, but let's also draw it to help us visually. So I have 5 wholes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Okay, so all together, this is 5 wholes. And I need to subtract a 4th. So one of my wholes I'm going to divide into 4ths. 1, 2, 3, 4, like last time. And I'm subtracting, taking away one of them. So I can mark off one of them. Now, I just need to see what's left. I have 1 whole, 2 wholes, 3 wholes, 4 wholes, and I have 1/4, 2/4, and 3/4. So I have left, I'm going to draw it down here, 4 and 3/4 left after subtracting. And if you notice here, when I pulled out my 4, that's the same. And if you look here, I'll try and use a different color. What would be 4/4 minus 1/4? 4 minus 1. What would be 4 minus 1? It would be 3/4. So you can see here how our visual representation with a tape diagram is similar to using the number bond way. All right, let's do an easier one again. 4 plus 3/4. So you'll notice when we're adding to a whole, it's much easier. Just think about it to yourself. I have 4 pizzas plus 3/4 of a pizza. How many total pizza do I have? Well, I would still have 4 whole pizzas and 3/4. So I'm literally just putting these two numbers together when I'm adding them. So adding is a little bit more easier when we're adding a whole and a fraction versus subtraction. Okay, what about 3 plus 1/3? I'll give you a couple seconds to write that down. And if you said 3 1/3 or 3 1/3, you are correct. All right, fourth graders, so we've modeled subtracting fractions using tape diagram, visually showing our wholes, okay? We've also shown it using, say we have 3 minus 1/3, a number bond inside of this is going to live a 2 and 3/3, okay? The next thing we're going to do is show it on a number line, and I'm going to show you how a number line and using number bond can help you also solve it. So in your problem set or in your assignment on Seesaw, I want you to show the way that you're most comfortable subtracting and adding fractions. If it's tape diagram, awesome. If it's a number line, awesome. Or if you want to just stick with the number bond, if you're able to visually already see that, go ahead and do number bond. All right, fourth graders, let's do 6 minus 5/8. Okay, so again, I'm already going to do my number bond just because it helps me regardless of the strategy I choose. So inside of this 6 hole is going to live 5 holes, and I want to match my unit, so 8/8, and that also equals 1 hole. So if I were to add my 5 plus 1, it would make 6, and that's why it works. All right, so on a number line, if my whole number is 6, I'm going to put that on this end. What is 1 less than 6? It's going to be 5. So 5 is going to go on this end. Okay, and these are whole numbers, not fractions. 5 wholes and 6 wholes. Okay, I want to subtract, so I'm going to have to go to the left to subtract. Okay, and my units are eighths. So I'm going to go ahead and make eighths here. 1/8, 2/8, 3/8, 4/8, 5/8, 6/8, 7/8, 8/8. Okay, so I want to subtract 5/8. I'm going to start at my 6. Maybe I'll use a different color. 6, and I'm going to go back 5. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And because it's not labeled, I need to count again to see what that is. So 5 and 1/8, 2/8, 3/8. So my answer is 5 and 3/8. Okay, and also if you are wanting to solve it the number bond way, once you have your whole and your fraction here, you can say, okay, I'm going to subtract my fractions now. 8/8 minus 5/8. Well, 8 minus 5 is 3. I'll write that down here. I'm going to keep my whole the same. Now I'm doing 8/8 minus 5/8. Well, 8 minus 5 is 3. My unit's the same. So the answer is 5 and 3/8. Does that match? Yes. All right, fourth graders, that wraps up Module 5, Lesson 22. If you're still confused, I want you to go on embark.com and look at their lesson for Module 5, Lesson 22. They will probably repeat the different visual models for you here. But again, like I said, feel free to use any of the strategies presented today, number bond, number line, or that tape diagram. And let me know if you have any questions or need extra help.